I'll call to order the meeting of the Canary Open Space Conservation Agency of May 8th, 2019. And will you all please join me in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, May we have the roll call, please?
Vice Chair Bill de la Peña. Present. Director Huffer.
Yes.
Director Jones.
Here.
Director Nichols.
Yes.
And Chair Sky.
Here. And under public comments, I have one public speaker card so far. Phoebe Robertson, would you please come up to the mic? Maybe you can use the lower one so you don't have to be up so high. Welcome, Phoebe. Right?
Oh,
4A, yes.
Comments are 3.
Well, public comments is before 4A.
Okay, well, it's a public speaker card, but I will read what Phoebe wrote. Bless your heart, sweetie. It says, I love, and it's on the Ranger update. I love how they're friends of mine. I like that they keep our parks and trails safe, and I thank them for their hard work. That's so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I thought you were going to speak. Okay, know what?
She can speak after the Ranger.
Okay, if she wishes, yeah. No other cards at this point. Then we'll go to presentations and announcements. And Matt, would you do our Ranger presentation, please? There you are.
Good evening, board. Welcome to springtime. We're going to talk about the Rangers because we invited them all here tonight. We've been talking about them and doing PowerPoint presentations, but I felt it was important that we bring them all so that you get to see them. And they're a little nervous because they've been inside for a while. They're not used to that. Right, not their native habitat. And to have them all together and all in their nice shirts at one time is extremely rare. So I hope everybody appreciates this. And you got to remember, I started as a park ranger with COSCA 22 years ago, and we are basically the same size as that point. However, Bruce and I are the only ones left from that original crew. A lot more gray, but and we've had a little bit of changes in how we do things. Bruce is the crew leader for all the Rangers, and having him be my friend for 22 years, I'm super proud of watching what he's done with these people and the work that they produce. And the training that's going on with these new bright, shiny Rangers that we've recently hired in the past few years really puts forth for a really good future for us. I think we've got a good group of people that are going to be following up after Bruce and I move along. Another significant thing, today is the 6th anniversary of the Woolsey Fire and the Hill Fire. And these folks are still out there working hard. You'll see in my PowerPoint presentation at the end of the evening. They're, the first responders, second responders, and then 6 months later, still responding group and still fixing things out there, still trying to make it the open space that everybody remembers from a year ago. And I'd like to have all the Rangers come up. They're going to each introduce themselves very quickly and who they are, so you get to see their face. And so come on up and take your turns.
Hello, my name's Nick Ferrari. I've been with Canary Open Space for about 3 years. Grew up in Ventura County, and I take a lot of pride in the trails we have, and I really enjoy just kind of being out in the field and working on new projects, rerouting trail, building new trail, and really adding to the value of the open space. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick.
Hello, my name is Ryan Stead. I've been here for an entire month, but I'm super excited. This has been a really great experience. I came over from the National Park Service, where I had about 10 years in doing native plant restoration and interpretation. I'm really excited to get out in these local parks again. I grew up here, and one of my favorite things to do is discover new trails that I've never seen before. So I really enjoyed that. But thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hi, my name is Carrie Stav, and I was born and raised in Thousand Oaks, and I've been here for 38 years. So when I am hiking around and I walk by a bench I installed or some trail I worked on, it brings me a great sense of pride. And I just love this job because no 2 days are the same. Every day is a different day, and you never know what you're going to get.
Thank you, Carrie.
Hi, my name is Rick Bertelson, and I've been with COSCA for a little over 3 years. Relatively new to Southern California. I've only been down here for about 7 years, a prep transplant from Northern California. Before here, I did some work with the U.S. Forest Service as a ranger with them. And I think my favorite part about working with COSCA is obviously working outdoors, but same as Carrie, no 2 days are the same. I love the variety of work. One day we're building trails, another day we're repairing a facility that needs work. But the variety of work is what brings pleasure to me.
Great. Thank you, Rick.
Hello, my name is Sean Smith. I've been with the Park District for about 5 years now, and about 4 of that as a ranger. I previously came from the Grounds Division. I really love this job. It's really the best. My favorite part of it is getting out and interacting with the people and helping them have the experience that they're looking for.
Thank you, Sean.
Hello, my name is Michael McGurk. Much like Carrie, and I think Ryan also. I was born and raised here in the Canary Valley, and I was fortunate enough to grow up and take programs through CRPD and enjoy our open space. And as open space tech that I've been working for the last 2 years, it's given me a chance to give back to our community and make it a little bit better. And I think that's what I enjoy most about this job.
Thank you, Michael.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Joe Neary. I'm an open space contractor with COSCA. Was born and raised in Ventura, California County. Been here my whole life. My favorite part of my job is going out, working hard on the trails, knowing that I provide a really safe environment for all the trail users, and just makes me feel really good.
Thank you, Joe.
Hello. My name's Bruce Pace. I am the lead park ranger. I've been here 27 years. I love working with these guys. Good bunch of people to work with. My favorite part of this job is designing and maintaining our trails and building trails. When we go out and construct a trail, it's pretty awesome to see the public using it. We get to use it, and it's going to be used for generations to come. So that's it for me. I like using chainsaws too.
Thank you, Bruce.
Sure.
Job well done.
Don't go too far.
I see Brian.
Good evening, Board. I'm Brian Stark and happy to represent the Conejo Open Space Foundation tonight and to share some of our love for our hardworking rangers. We know they're hardworking because we spend a lot of time with them out on trail work days here in the community, and we also notice the work that they do every weekend when we're out hiking on the trails, and we know it's not uncommon to see something fixed before we have time to call it in. We know that our rangers are educators in the community. They outreach to people every day. They are watching them work at trail education days just shows that they're complete rock stars to these kids. They really look up to the rangers. We know our rangers are keeping our open spaces safe, and that's very important for our community by taking care of safety hazards and enforcing our preserve rules. But more than anything, I think they are the frontline face of COSCA out in the field, and we want you to know that they're representing you and the whole organization very well. And I think their dedication to their work honors the commitment that our community has made to open space. So on behalf of all of us at the Canary Open Space Foundation, we wanted to present this nice certificate of appreciation for our local COSCA Rangers.
picture.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Yeah, everybody with the leg kick.
Okay, good. Fantastic. And before you all leave, I'd like to call back Phoebe Robertson, who wished to say a few words. Because she likes you guys.
We like her too. Okay.
Hello, my name is Phoebe Robertson. I like the Rangers because they keep our trails safe and they keep our plants healthy and make sure the plants just keep growing and stay healthy and strong. So I want to thank them for all their work they have done for the parks.
Bless your heart. Thank you. Absolutely, lady and gentlemen, you're amazing. Our trails, our parks, our open space, our community is so much better for everything you've contributed and continue to contribute, and we really do thank you all. Any other comments from board members? Director Bill de la Pena.
You were standing outside taking pictures when I walked in, and I was mentioning how I couldn't believe that this is all of you, all 8 of you are taking care of more than 15,000 acres of open space. I just can't wrap my head around it. This is incredible. So we are, of course, very grateful for your dedication and your passion and the love for nature and open space. And, we need to probably eventually increase the number because our open space is growing and you guys have a lot to cover. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Director Heffer.
Yeah, I'd just like to add my thanks to each of you. The work that you do, as Claudia said, the few number of you with the miles of trails and the hundreds and hundreds of acres of open space that you take care of, it's really unbelievable that this small group can accomplish as much as you do. Several of you mentioned that you love building trails. I had no idea until a few years ago when I joined a few of the trail building projects how much work that is in just a few hours, and you guys do that day after day after day. So my hat's off to you. And I think it's so neat that several of you are natives. You were born and grew up right in this community, and you're giving back to our community. So thank all of you so much.
Director Nichols.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, just again, thank you all for your day in and day out service. I know the schedule can be a little challenging sometime, and then adjusting schedules when people have certain needs, family needs, whatever that happens to be, time off. So just that is a juggling act in and of itself. And then when we have such events as we do with the rains and then the flooding following the fires, I know you probably have your schedule all set for the year, and all of a sudden that just kind of gets pushed aside, and now you have to deal with emergencies. And yet the public's eyes, they just see things just kind of happen. It's almost assumed that Rangers will take care of it, and you do. And we certainly appreciate that. And I know even with Phoebe's grateful words, I know that represents a lot from the community, even though they don't come here all the time to thank you. But again, just thank you for your day in and day out service and making COSCA look as good as it does. Thank you so much.
Indeed. Thank you. Salute you. Okay, we'll go on to the Canary Open Space Trails Action Committee. That's COSTAC reports.
Steve Bacharach, Conejo Open Space Trails Action Committee Chairman, and I'm reporting on the Conejo Challenge. I told you about it a few months ago. I think this is our 6th year of doing it. Obviously, a couple of you really took it to heart. Director Huffer, you finished just recently, I believe, so congratulations to you. Yeah, a couple hours ago. And Director Nichols, you're right there. Hopefully you found something new along the way. So we're reaching a lot of people, young and old, families, groups, individuals. It's going great. So far we have about 200 participants, around 40 people have finished. It's probably the participants probably won't get too much bigger, but the finishers will probably double by the time it's over May 31st. So we expect a pretty good turnout for our post-challenge raffle of sponsored prizes on June 7th at Conejo Creek North. So that'll wrap up the event for what's looking like another successful year.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
Any comments? No. All right. Ms. Hagan, were you going to talk about Trails Education Days?
Oh, hello. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Elaine Hagan from Thousand Oaks. I represent the Conejo Open Space Foundation, as well as I'm a coordinator for Trails Education Days. Oh, that would help, wouldn't it? So I have some photos to share, but first, I'm sorry the Rangers left because I want them to know, and I want you to know, that Trails Education Days couldn't exist without them. They make sure the trails and the bridges and the nature center are ready and that everything's safe and just polished. They set up and they take down shade structures every day. They host the ranger workshops. They provide transportation for students who can't hike. They drive supplies and lunches back and forth, and they support us in every possible way. They are the best. And I think I heard Brian say that they're rock stars. Or, well, they are absolutely rock stars, and the students love them. So anyway, there we go. Just a few photographs to let you know what a Trails Education Day looks like. First of all, the hike leaders arrive at the Canna Street parking lot and get ready and all ready for the buses to come, and it's always anxiety-provoking to see if the buses will be on time. And when they do arrive, Rob Ramidi, who's our paid naturalist, has a system where he gets them off the buses, assigned to a hike leader, and onto the trails. And speed is very important, and Rob does it very well. Now, the first part of Trails Education Days is a 1-hour hike through Wildwood Canyon, and the hike covers plants, animals, geology, ecology, hydrology, and I'm sure there are some other ologies as well. Rob also, we have a lot of natural things in the park to talk about, but Rob also puts little props along the trail. Rattlesnake skin, for instance, and in this case, to talk about the difference between bobcats and mountain lions, we have casts of their tracks. Conejo Creek is just adjacent to the trail the whole way down, so there's lots to see there. Often see ducks, baby ducks and parents, turtles. We see high water marks, lots of things, erosion. And so there's a lot to talk about just about the natural water system. And there's so much to talk about that an hour probably isn't long enough. It would be lovely if we had a whole day to do this hike, but we're governed by the beginning of the school day and the end of the school day, so 1 hour is what we're allowed. And then once the hiking groups get to the nature center staff moves them into their workshops, and the 3 workshops are, first of all, Animal Actors of Hollywood talks about native plants and animals. Native birds and animals. In this case, this is Gomez, the turkey vulture, a very, very popular bird. The children love him. And we have Awesome Opossum and Penny the porcupine. And this is really important, really interesting. This is red-tailed hawk Khaleesi, and she made her educational program debut at Trails Education Days this year. She was injured, and Animal Actors of Hollywood currently has possession of her and is helping her. And she did really well, so she's probably going to get to stay with them and do additional educational programs. The next thing that happens is the park rangers talk about their careers. In this case, it's MRCA Ranger Bruseda Vargas, and she's talking about firefighting. And then our rock star Nick Ferrari ran all 6 workshops every single day. He is a rock star. And in this slide, Nick is showing a volunteer student what's required to be safe using power equipment. I think Bruce said something about he liked chainsaws, and I think they all do. And then it's really interesting. Between workshops, we're trying to hustle people into the next one because timing is so tight. And it's a bit chaotic, but it always works. And now, but once everybody's into their workshops after lunch, the Nature Center crew, which is usually 5 or 6 people, actually get to sit down and eat their lunch and relax for a few minutes until it's time to switch to another workshop. And in this case, this is the Trail Safety and Courtesy Workshop run by Dorothy Sullivan, who's here with us. This has been very important because it teaches how to behave on the trails and how to be a good open space citizen. And it involves a bicyclist, an equestrian, and a hiker with a dog. And you can imagine all what it is they do bad things. And then Dorothy asks them to tell her what bad things they did or wrong things. And you can only imagine, dogs off leash, no helmet, other things. Anyway, in this case, Jeff Davidson is the equestrian. After the workshop is completed, Dorothy invites the trail users to come up and talk, and then at the end, each of the students gets a chance to pat the horse, or the bicycle, or the dog. The bicycle's important too. So, anyway, and then this is the scene at the end of the day when they're hiking out San Miguel Trail to go back to their buses. So it's really neat. And this, I'm not going to go through it all right now, but the timeline is really tight. And just everything has to happen at a specific time or it all gets very confusing. So now I'd like to introduce you to some of the people who make Trails Education Days happen. I mentioned Dorothy. Can you stand up? Dorothy has been on COSCA and is a former foundation board member, and she took over this year doing the Trail Safety and Courtesy Workshop. And she's signed on for next year. Yay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Dorothy. And Kira Krukowski stands up. And Kira is a COSCA member and a foundation board member, and she handles most of the communication with the school district and with the schools. And it's always interesting. There's always something. Let's see, Christina Robertson. You already know Phoebe, but this is Phoebe's mom. Christina is also a COSCA and foundation member, as is Kira. And Christina handles all the scheduling for the hike leaders and all the communication with them. And she's got it figured out. She really got a good system going, which is great. And Mulaney Ashen wasn't able to be here. She's doing another volunteer project tonight. But she and Stephanie Shear handle all of everything that goes on at the Nature Center. And Stephanie isn't on COSCA or the foundation, but maybe that'll happen at some point. Anyway, so I just wanted you to know it takes between 60 and 80 people to make this all work. And we have so many wonderful volunteers that it's just wonderful. And thank you for supporting the program for all these 28 years. So,
thank you so much, Elaine. And maybe you could describe a little bit the
Oh, the writing contest?
The writing contest.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I should have said that. Mulaney also took charge of the writing contest a few years ago, and she arranges the judging and everything. But essentially what happens is the schools are invited to enter a writing contest every year. And this year we got 880 letters.
I counted 1,134.
I'm sure.
Adding up on your tally
Oh no,
sheet.
that's the number of students. Only 79.9% actually wrote letters.
All right, only.
But,
okay.
Yeah. So it is a big number, and Mulaney has a system down to get them. Essentially, the top 10% from each school are presented to 8 judges who work in teams, and they decide who are going to be the 5 grand prize winners and the 2 per school other winners. So
and I had the great pleasure of being able to sign the thank you letters to all the volunteers, and then to read the grand prize essays. These kids are just amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And
they really take, each of them takes something different away from the day and are able to describe it beautifully. I'm
It's
really
true.
impressed with the vocab. These are 4th graders.
Yeah,
vocabulary
exactly.
and writing style. It's great.
So I have to tell COSCA directors who are city council, May 21st is your event when the students will be presented. And CRPD board members, your night is going to be June 6th. So you'll meet these 5 little writers.
Little geniuses.
So, anyway, so, and then actually and then after the contest, what we do is all of the students' letters are attached to the thank you letter that Rory signs and is sent out. So
very good.
It's fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, Director Nichols.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, Elaine, thank you so much for the presentation. I've known this has been going on for years, and it just seems like it's like clockwork now. It seems that way, but I know there's a lot of effort to make that happen. And appreciate your leadership as well as the foundation and all the many volunteers that make that happen. Just out of curiosity, with all the time spent and all the many education days that have happened, has there been any tracking of any sort to see what type of an impact have you had on the community, on the kids?
Well,
how many have grown up to be rangers or whatever that happens to be?
We don't know for sure, but I can tell you 2 specific people. One is George Winkler, who was a Conejo Open Space Foundation member for several years before he had to change jobs and all. He's told me, and it just was so wonderful, he said he remembered Trails Education Days, and it changed his life.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed the direction and pointed him to the direction he wanted to go in his life. And he's just a wonderful guy, anyway, really neat guy. And the other is a young woman named Shandy Noble, who remembered her 5th grade Trails Education Days, and she now leads hikes. So, but we don't have any specific. I'm thinking that probably.
Sean, he told me at Trail Education Days this year, he goes, I remember coming to that.
Oh, I never knew that.
So we did.
Well, see?
There we go.
Became a ranger.
There we go.
Okay, so that worked. So I'm sure that there are parents whose children are going through it, and I'd love to find that out, but we haven't done anything specific.
I'm sure there's been many influences, but thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thanks.
Director Hepper.
Elaine, I just wanted to add my thanks to you and to all the volunteers who've been working on this program for so many years. It's one of my favorite nights for the CRPD board meetings when the youngsters come in and we get to meet them, we get to read their presentations, and it's so wonderful what all of you do for them. And you may not have the numbers, but I know there have to be some, if not a lot, of children out there who, we live within a few miles of all of this wonderful open space, but this is the first chance they've ever had a chance to actually see that.
Yeah,
so
it's
for those
true.
kids particularly, but for all the children, this has to be an absolutely spectacular experience.
It's something they remember, yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Anna, we have the COSCA Volunteer Corps activity.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Oops, I have a brief PowerPoint. Our volunteers continue to make significant contributions. From January through April of this year, our Trail Watch program had 163 reports submitted and 290 hours donated. Trail Ambassadors had 43 hours donated, and Adopt a Trail had 81 reports submitted for 209 hours donated. Again, and as always, thank you so much to our many volunteers, and I'm available for questions.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, I will go to the consent calendar for our meeting of February 13th. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval of the February 13th meeting minutes.
And seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions or opposition? Hearing none. Our first action item is 6A, and that's the 2019 Canary Open Space Trails Action Committee appointments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have a brief PowerPoint. This year, we had 4 scheduled vacancies for COSTAC. 9 applications were received during the recruitment period, and interviews were held on April 15th. For members, the subcommittee recommends Kira Krukowski. Kira is an active member of COSTAC and is an integral part of Trails Education Days, participates in the Trail Watch program, and is motivated to educate the community about the importance of protecting open space. Ray Mochia. Ray is also an active member of COSTAC and coordinates many of our trailhead outreach events. Tim Rosenstein. Tim is a hiker and mountain biker and is interested in maintaining the quality of COSCA open space for all user groups and is currently volunteering to remove several non-native invasive plant species from the Los Padres trailhead area. Trudy Wolf. Trudy is a hiker and equestrian who frequents our open space regularly. She is passionate about protecting open space and sharing its benefits with others. The subcommittee recommends the following applicants be appointed as alternates. Brian Baxter. Brian is a hiker and current alternate. He is interested in participating in COSCA's volunteer programs and being involved in the community. Marcella Kettlehut. Marcella is a hiker and is also a current alternate. She is interested in contributing to the stewardship of COSCA open space. Deborah Payne. Deborah is a hiker and is interested in protecting open space. And finally, Scott Wilson. Scott is also a hiker and is similarly interested in working to protect and preserve open space. And with that, staff recommends that the Board of Directors approve the COSTAC members and alternates as recommended by the nomination subcommittee. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Okay. Any questions of Ms. Hubert?
Thank you. Of the members, which ones are incumbents? The four vacancies.
Kira and Ray are incumbents.
So the new members are Tim Rosenstein and Trudy Wolf?
Correct.
Okay, and how long have Kira and Ray served?
Kira has, let's see. I'm just looking for the
You can help with the answer.
memo. Yeah, Kira, actually you can since you're here. Right. So I would say that this is going to be Kira's first full term. She was appointed as a regular member probably about 2 years ago to fill a vacancy, an unscheduled vacancy by a prior member. That would have been Ben Pumphrey. And Ray, I believe this is going to be his second full term.
Okay. And of the 9 applicants or applications, 1 applicant did not respond. And Trudy was the only one who was also an equestrian?
Yes.
Okay. When we put out the announcement, do we mention any preferences that we may have in terms of candidates?
No, we don't. It is simply a neutral announcement, and this year it was put also, in addition, we typically send a press release to the Acorn. It's posted on the city's website, on the city clerk department section of the city's website, and we also circulated it on COSCA's social media, and it was rather widely shared. I think that we had probably in the neighborhood of about 1,500 people that were reached by it just on COSCA's Facebook page.
I remember we used to have more equestrians.
Yes,
and now we're down to just one.
And that's a function of, I think, demographics in the community changing a little bit too. But we do make a point to advertise it as far and wide as we can, and to make sure that as many people know about it as possible. And we were very pleased with how widely it was shared on the Facebook page.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You have a motion to accept the recommendations?
I'll move approval of the recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. No other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Okay. Thank you. Next is the selection process for public member to the COSCA Board of Directors. Marjan?
Thank you, Chair Skay and members and the board members. COSCA's Joint Powers Agreement states that COSCA Board of Directors shall consist of 2 council members, 2 CRPD Board of Director members, and 1 private citizen. The private citizen member must be nominated for by the other 4 members of the COSCA board, and then appointed by mutual agreement of the legislative bodies of the city and CRPD. Board member terms are 4 years, and Rory Skay is, as you know, currently serves as the private citizen on the COSCA board. And since Chair Skay's current term will come to an end on July 1st, it is appropriate at this time for the board to review the public member selection process. The City Clerk Department is planning to begin the recruitment process for the public member on May 13, 2019. The application period will be 30 days. Notice will be posted on COSCA's website and the City Hall display case area near the main entrance on the 2nd floor in the City Clerk's Department section of the city's website also, and at the library. A press release will also be sent to the Thousand Oaks Acorn. Staff recommends the board establish a candidate screening ad hoc committee by appointing 2 board members, 1 city council member and 1 CRPD board member, to conduct interviews of all the candidates at a future date. The ad hoc committee would deliver the recommendation for the private citizen member candidate to the full board for consideration at the next regular meeting on September 11, 2019. The method is similar to the process used by the Thousand Oaks City Council to appoint members of the public for city boards, commissions, and committees. And that's all I have to report. Thank you. And I'm here for questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Marjan? Do we have a volunteer from the city side and the Park District side to serve on the ad hoc committee?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. Yeah.
So Mr. Nicholas, Mr. Jones, or Ms. Beldella Pena?
I'll nominate Ed Jones.
You're so kind.
Okay. So if you choose to accept, Mr. Jones, then
Yes.
that would great. Then
I'll accept.
Then we have our ad hoc committee, and staff will, after the city clerk announces the open period for receiving applications, so proceed from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item are information items, and we do have a Wildwood update. This was a request from Board Member Beldella Pena that we get updated after some citizen concern. So we have a written report. It's in our packets. I believe there are other copies on the chair. I do have a number of cards here. This is not an action item for us tonight, but we will obviously hear those of you that wish to speak. Please remember, it's a 3-minute time period, and we're going to have to be a little strict about it because we have quite a few. So, see, first up I have Bonnie Clarfield. Bonnie Clarfield Byland.
Good evening, everyone. I'm up here because I live in Wildwood. I live on Frontier Avenue, and I'm 2/10 of a mile, luckily, from the Indian Creek Trailhead. We moved to the area, my husband and I, because we wanted to be near Wildwood. You all probably know with social media, Wildwood has been discovered. And I love that people come to Wildwood. And I'm really embarrassed that there are a lot of people in my neighborhood unhappy about all the people coming. It's a public park. The roads are public. And on beautiful days with wildflowers blooming and water falling, this is not just happening at Wildwood. It's happening all over Ventura, greater LA area. And Wildwood happens to have a wonderful waterfall, and the trails are easy to hike. So I'm here just to say that there's a very vocal neighbor who wants to see the trailhead parking lot closed. Personally, he doesn't think it was planned well. I think it was brilliant how it was planned 30 years ago, because when you drive up Avenida de los Árboles, you're basically on a parkway. You don't have any houses facing the road, only the back of houses. Most of the people living in the neighborhood actually came after the park. So if you're going to buy a house near the park, you need to be aware that there is a public space there and it's to be shared. I know there's a push to move the trailhead to Hill Canyon. That's great to spread everyone out. But I will say this one person is spreading information saying the mesa's impacted. It's great to get people out of the mesa so it heals. Honestly, Hill Canyon's a riparian area. There are resource concerns there too. There's really resource concerns at all trailheads. And I just feel that there's a quiet majority out there that are not being vocal because they're fine with Wildwood being there. They're happy to live in the neighborhood. And I'm here to represent the quiet majority. I also do want to say that people might say there isn't a lot of wildlife left in the park. I'm a bird watcher. I am in the park during high visitation. I'm in there early in the morning when people aren't there, and I'm still seeing deer there. I'm seeing great wildlife, terrific birds, all kinds of mammals. So when people say the park doesn't have the values that it was protected for, I say they're still there. There's just a lot of people enjoying them. And hopefully those people are there and not at the mall are going to be the same people that vote to protect open space in the future. So I want to thank you. I like that you guys are trying to make a difference. It's a tough problem because there's too many people and too many demands in our park. So I'm just here as a neighbor saying, keep up the good work. And I feel so lucky to live near Wildwood. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. Right on time. Stephen Byland.
Good evening. I'm speaking because I also believe that the parking lot into Arbalest is an ideal place to have that parking lot. Trying to close that parking lot would be, to me, irresponsible. You're just pushing perceived problems or real problems just to other areas. One of the concerns that's been addressed is traffic. And, putting the park, the main entrance to Wildwood and Hill Canyon, which is actually not part of Wildwood Park, is simply going to push traffic onto Santa Rosa Road. So hopefully if you do that, the city of Camarillo is consulted, the county of Ventura is consulted about the impacts of the traffic there. So my concern is, as a taxpayer in Thousand Oaks, I want to speak for all the taxpayers in Thousand Oaks who pay their taxes, pay their property taxes. They shouldn't be forced to go to Camarillo to access Wildwood. So keep the parking lot open. There's a lot of problems, but there's a lot of better solutions than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Byland. Next up, David Lake.
I also want to thank COSCA for the great work that it does. And I've participated in Trails Education Days twice as a parent chaperone. It was a great experience for my 2 fifth graders and for the parents as well. There are 4 paved parking lots along Arbalest that serve trails. 90% of the people that use the Arbalest parking lot, the dirt one, don't know that they exist. They don't know that there are tunnels that connect directly to the trails. There's a large parking area in Hill Canyon that's underused. There's a large parking area at the end of Rancho Conejo that's barely used. Once the bridge is put in place and you change the address of Wildwood Park to Hill Canyon, you should publicize the end of Rancho Conejo as the alternate parking lot, and the 4 Wildwood parking lots, the paved parking lots, which were built by CRPD, have flush toilets, are paved. They're not draining directly into a stream. They don't generate tons of dust that make me sick for months every year. And they don't bring 167 cars to 80 feet from where my children are trying to sleep, starting at 6 a.m. every morning. It's ridiculous to have a large, busy dirt parking lot with thousands of vehicle trips in a tiny remote corner of suburbia when you can spread those cars out among 9 other parking lots that are not right next to houses. Additionally, bringing the big crowd right to the Mesa Trailhead does have a big impact, and you know it does. The soil properties there are clay. The trailhead has to be closed every time it rains. But as we all know, every time it rains, an even bigger crowd comes to that trailhead and goes to see the waterfall. There are easier ways to get to the waterfall. There are less damaging ways to get to the waterfall. However, this one particular parking lot is the only place that people know as a way to get to the waterfall. There are dozens of trailheads. The Hill Canyon Trailhead is an easier way to get to the waterfall. People can get to the waterfall and back and not get heat stroke climbing back up the hill as they do now. I see the helicopters weekly. I see the fire trucks. There are several a week now. And some of the information that they seem to be spreading is just inaccurate. There's lots of free parking for Wildwood Park. I don't want to limit access to the people. I want to get rid of the hundreds of cars that are situated so that they're right next to houses on a slope that's draining directly into a creek. That's a disaster. The chemicals that you spray to mitigate dust also wash into that creek every time it rains. We don't need that. We just don't need this parking lot. We have plenty of parking for Wildwood Park. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Robert Elias.
Hello. I as well, I think Wildwood Park is great. I mean, a lot of the reason why I moved into the area and brought my family here 13 years ago. So I kind of have the perspective of someone that's been around for a little while, moving in 2006. And, as was mentioned earlier, even back then, the parking lot was rarely full on the weekend. During the weekdays, it was very sporadically used, so it wasn't even all these issues didn't even appear until the advent of social media, and who knew that was coming. So this was definitely probably a reasonable location for a parking lot back in the 1990s. But with hindsight being 2020, to put now this parking lot has kind of outgrown the utilization based on just all the people that are influxing into the area, not just from Thousand Oaks, but from the San Fernando Valley, from Santa Barbara, coming in from all different directions. So the question is not is Wildwood, we're not talking about shutting down Wildwood. Wildwood is an incredible, wonderful asset. I use the trails as well. The real question is, what are the appropriate access points? And if there's additional access points that could kind of alleviate the pressure from this parking lot, then that's the direction that we should go. And I really appreciate COSCA's efforts to move that official parking lot address to a different address. We still have issues with cars speeding down Bright Star Street, which, quite frankly, some people live up from Frontier away from Bright Star that are not experiencing that, with little kids playing out front. So we need to kind of alleviate all the emphasis onto this one access point. And in terms of quiet majority, I would also say that there were hundreds of people that attended the Wildwood meeting back at Wildwood Elementary School several years ago, and most of those people did certainly voice their concern about this parking lot and kind of the situation. So thank you for the efforts so far, and hopefully we can move forward to try to mitigate the problems as well in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elias. Fred Bickle. Welcome back, Fred.
Fred Bickle, Thousand Oaks resident. I've been a resident of Thousand Oaks since 1974. In 1974, and probably prior to purchasing our home in Thousand Oaks, so prior to 1974, there was a parking lot at the very location that we're considering talking about tonight. That parking lot was not planned by COSCA, and certainly COSCA doesn't have any responsibility for it being there. It was there. When the land was acquired by the city and COSCA and the Park District jointly under COSCA, that parking lot was exactly where it is today. There have been a few changes. There's an additional road out of that parking lot that goes back onto the Wildwood Mesa. That's added on, but it doesn't affect what we're talking about as far as parking. There is, and I have it on my wall at home, a photograph of the Gunsmoke set at Wildwood Mesa at that parking lot. So whatever impact there has been goes way back prior to COSCA and prior to the acquisition of that property. I would agree that there's a lot of pressure on that lot, and that's obviously due to the popularity of the park. And I think that there are some reasonable mitigations that could be undertaken. I won't go through all of them tonight, but I can certainly give you my ideas on that any time that you might be interested. And I did so prior at one of the meetings that was conducted by the Park District prior to this concerning the problems there at the park. All the problems that are there, except for the overburden with traffic, can be mitigated. And I'm talking about the dust, I'm talking about noise at night, and just about anything you can think of. All of those have been addressed before, and there are mitigations for them. It's just a question of deciding what mitigations would best serve the Mesa and the park and the COSCA interest. My interest is in preservation of that area. It's not in...
10 seconds, Mr. Bickle. If you could wrap up.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And we have a number of written statement cards from Stephen Small, Larry Garrison, Brian Stark, Stephanie Shear, and Christina Robertson. And we'll obviously, staff will get these as well. Yes.
I believe Ms. Hagan would like to speak on this item as well.
Okay, I didn't have a card. Oh, I'm sorry. It must have been. Please go ahead. That doesn't say.
Oh, thank you. It'll turn up. When we bought our home overlooking Wildwood Mesa in 1982, the realtor told us that it was approved for 400 homes. And we thought, okay, whatever. But we pretty soon realized what a treasure the Mesa was. And so when it started looking like there was actually going to be building, we joined with a number of residents, including the Bickles, who were very active in trying to save the Mesa. Fortunately, we did. But we were talking about the history. When we moved there, sheep would go up, be driven up over the ridge. It wasn't a pristine area at all. Just that one point. Anyway, we've been very frustrated because of the result of the fire has closed the Hill Canyon Bridge, and those of us involved with COSTAC, the foundation, and so forth, are very, very anxious to get the bridge repaired and back open, and also the new second bridge at the water treatment plant built. Once those two are there, there will be really reasonably good ways to access the park, especially the waterfall, from Newbury Park and from Santa Rosa. A lot of people come from Ventura, Oxnard, Camarillo, and so forth. It'll be wonderful for them, including busloads of children, to come to the Santa Rosa entrance to go get into the park. I think that once those things are open, once the two bridges are open and the parking lots promoted, I think we're going to see a major difference in the number of people who come to the main parking lot. Even so, social media has done its thing, and we're always going to have a lot of people. We are doing our best as volunteers to spread the word about parking at Neighborhood Park, parking at the tennis courts, entering up on Wildwood Avenue, all kinds of things. We can't keep everyone away from the main entrance, and we should never, ever consider closing that main entrance. We just need to help spread it out. Anyway, that's about it. And I would say I'd love to see the level of visitors turn back to when I first moved here, but that's never going to happen. So thank you for doing what you do, and if anything that we can do as the foundation or as volunteers, we really want to help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right on time.
Okay. Oh, really?
Okay. That was an information item. We'll go on to Mr. Kuba and the COSCA Ranger Operations and Maintenance Activities Report. We got a great précis of your report, seeing all your fantastic staff.
And Chair Skade, do you mind if I add a little something,
Please.
even though that was an information item for viewers at home that may not have the benefit of the report in front of them? There is a report describing many of the actions that COSCA, the city, and the Park District have taken in the past 2 years in response to the ever-increasing number of visitors to that main lot. And so what the board had in front of it tonight was kind of an update status on many of the action items and what's been happening. Of particular note, and on the last speaker, Ms. Hagan's remarks, the two bridges are, in our opinion, very critical for our ability to encourage folks primarily coming from the north to visit Wildwood to basically go to a closer, more convenient parking lot, and we think that will help quite a bit. The bridge that burned, this is an update status because we're working with engineers and FEMA. The good news is we found out that this prefabricated bridge that came and was dropped in does not have to be completely replaced from it burned in the fire, and it's structurally sound for the most part, but does need to have some steel buttressing that the original manufacturer won't do. So we're trying to have a custom engineer do that work, or give us the recommendation so we can have a contractor do that work. Speaking with my staff just today, we think that work should be done prior to the new bridge being completed, which is on a very nice track anticipated to be done by spring of next year. So we think the bridge that burned in Hill Canyon should hopefully be done in 3 to 6 months, but it's really hard to know because we still don't yet know exactly what the fix is. But the optimistic or the good news is that we know we don't have to replace the entire bridge. And then the new one is through design and is getting ready for basically city council approval in the near future. So that's where the bridge status is. And I think from what I heard from the different speakers tonight, I think that will help with the addressing some of those issues with the volume of people going to the Arbalest lot.
Thank you, Mr. Friedel. Any other questions? Okay. Please go ahead, Mr. Kuba.
Do have a PowerPoint. Going there. Recent Ranger operations. It was great seeing them all here, and like I said, that's a really rare thing. So it made me smile. The Rangers have spent the last year working on the Park Ranger Conference, which recently happened in March up in Ventura. They were approached by the Park Rangers Association of California at the last year's conference saying, hey, we're going to be in Ventura. Do you have any resources? And the Rangers, we had a couple meetings. We did some networking. Former Ranger Tim Hagel came through and gave some big tours of the sheriff's operations. He actually barbecued for the park rangers that day, and he had a big smile. The national parks, our neighbors, came out and did a talk on cardboard mountain lions. I mean, they've talked about real mountain lions, and that was really amazing. For you don't get to hear Seth Riley talk about mountain lions every day, so that was a wonderful thing. Giant Bicycle, a local business, came out and talked about mountain bike and e-bikes, and actually did demos of bikes, and that was wonderful. And I did a talk on partnerships. I didn't realize it looks like I have a halo.
Yes, well, you do.
Okay. After the fires and with this rain, we've been seeing some unusual things, unusual plants that are not there every day. And this is Indian Warrior, and it's not super common. It shows up pretty much every year. But it's a very interesting plant because it's semi-parasitic. It actually grows into the roots of plants that are there, but it can survive on its own. So it does take advantage of two different things here, and that's up in the Peturo open space. That was the only thing I could find as a transition to this mess. So the weed situation is pretty bad. The Rangers looked pretty good, even though they were on weed whackers all day long today, and got dressed up and cleaned up a bit before they got in here. And so they've been out doing that.
Look how tall that
Jim Friedel was asking, what's the tallest mustard anybody has seen? He said he saw one that was about 12 feet high, and that looks up there in that range. That's Ranger Bruce. And that's one of the machines that we use for brushing the trails. That's a track-driven flail mower. It has T-shaped blades that spin around very quick and thrash up the mustard and shred it. That's after 2 passes, and that's Bruce's thumb. He's very happy. He loves that machine. He's not here to argue with me about him loving it.
He's using a weed whip.
No, it's better than the weed whips. Yes, it's way more fun than that. There's other weeds that have fallen across the trail. This is a oak tree that fell up in the Lang Ranch area. And I'm showing you this one because there's a lot of technique that goes into felling a tree of this size. And I'm glad we've had the chainsaw training that we've had, because you can see the weight and how it's sitting on the hillside there, and how carefully Ranger Smith dropped it and cleared the trail. And he was pretty happy about that. So, and I am too, because he did it safely. So up in Lang Ranch, this was a washout. The Rangers had rerouted the trail around this washout. Some local residents had a little extra time and a little creativity and built that rickety little bridge there, which, as I understand, was quite fun to go across, but not the safest thing in the world. So the Rangers came in and they put in a pipe. It's a 24-inch pipe, and buttressed it on both sides, and then backfilled and made it safe, and it will not blow out ever again with the work that they did there. So we are looking forward to things in the future and building towards making it stronger for the future. A smaller washout, and you just harvest a couple big rocks, place those in there, and then cover that up with dirt, and you end up making it safe again. So this is the day-to-day stuff that the Rangers have been doing, and they've still been doing the little repairs, like this is the drinking fountain down in Wildwood that you may not find for 8, 10, 15 hours, and so it does make quite a mess when they do blow up, because there's a lot of pressure in the water line down there. Ongoing sign replacement. I think we have all of the signs in all of open space replaced now, so that's been 5 months of work there. And that's just a beauty shot with the e-bikes. The e-bikes are fantastic. We've been using them. It allows us to haul things up trail that we couldn't do just using our legs, and lets us get out much further, much faster for rescues, for trail patrol, and for moving things around. And this beautiful sunset shot was taken the other night by Christina up at Hillcrest Center. So I'm available for questions if you need.
Thank you. Fantastic. Questions or comments? No? Yes, Mr. Huff.
I have one question. You were talking about the weeds, and I don't know if this is typical, but the hiking I've been doing, it seems like there are an awful lot of butterflies out there. Is that something unusual, or is that?
It is. The painted lady butterflies have had a second hatching. They're migrating northishly, and they have the caterpillars have a wide food base that they can eat from. So they are very prolific, and they are laying eggs the whole way that they're going up. So we may be seeing some local painted lady butterflies, and we may also be seeing some that have come from all the way to Mexico that are mixed in with this group. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's really, really fun.
Yeah, get up onto a hilltop because they tend to follow ridge lines. So if you get up onto a ridge line, you're definitely going to see a ton of them.
Like some of the places with the high mustard, too.
Right.
Places you're just wading through butterflies.
Right, that's food for them. Yep. And they're following pheromones. They're following each other. So.
Very good. Director Beldel Pena.
So regarding the weeds, all of the hillsides in the Conejo Valley and beyond are covered in yellow, the mustard plant. Is it how? I mean, we're never going to be able to eradicate it. So
No.
what? So are you just cutting it down to create space so people can walk on the trails, or how are we? What are we doing?
We are not able to get rid of the black mustard, no. But it is for the trails, and it is for weed abatement. So we are also currently in weed abatement season for fire protection. So we have 2 crews doing that at the same time, contract crews that are out there cutting all the 100-foot clearances from structure around. And that's been a very difficult process because the rains were late. We started a little bit late because we didn't want to have to cut twice. We don't want to double our cost of weed abatement. It's one of our most expensive activities. So we did start about 3 weeks late. The crews are working really fast, and cutting 10 acres of that a day would be make a little sore. So
Indeed, the mustard is, all the park agencies, all the public works agencies are going, oh dear, it's bad stuff. Yeah. And even if we miraculously had 5 million goats or something and could sort of devastate, they take everything though. That's not just the mustard if you let them loose. We still would never be rid of it because it sets seed. I've heard, perhaps you can, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, that mustard seeds can last in the soil up to 100 years.
I hope not.
I hope not.
Let us know how it comes out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions for Ranger Kuba? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And finally, we have General Manager Friedel and City Manager COSCA updates. Anything?
No report.
Nothing, Gary? Okay. Any board member comments? Yes, Director Nichols.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of things. First, I wanted to note that we have a special occasion happening on Monday for the Gratitude Circle, where the Park District recognizes citizens that have contributed significantly to our community with parks and recreation, open space, and Elaine Hagan will be one of the recipients of those awards on Monday. So if you want to come out and support her on Monday, I'm sure she would appreciate it. But just while we had a group here, let them know that was happening.
5:30 at Canary Creek North.
Yes, 5:30. Thank you.
Yeah.
5:30, Canary Creek North. And just a question. I had a friend asked, they have an organization that they wanted to donate a bench. Is there a process to go through that I can direct them? Should I just direct them to the general manager or to would be that Mr. Kuba? Okay, all right. I will put them in touch with that. And then lastly, I took advantage of the family campout a couple of nights ago that the Park District was doing down in Wildwood, just to kind of go down and see what was happening. People were loving it down there. It was just great to see all the families. There was about 90 participants down there. They were enjoying burgers and hot dogs while I was down there. And I just grabbed a family and introduced myself and just said, is this your first time here? What do you like? They say, oh, no, we've been here for 3 years. We enjoy it. We go camping all the time. The kids keep asking, when are we coming back here again? And I just thought, what a great opportunity to have that in our own backyard where folks can come down as a family. You don't have to pack your gear. The park rangers will do, or the outdoor unit will do it for you, and they cook your food. I mean, all you have to do is just put up your tent and then leave in the morning.
Glamping, yes.
But just, kind of glamping, yes, Park District style. But as we were talking about Wildwood tonight, I just was reflecting on that, and it is a fantastic resource just to enjoy the open space, but particularly Wildwood and all the unique features that it has. And while we do want to enjoy it, we still need to take care of it, and just to be able to get people out there and see what's there, I think it helps them realize what they have and how they need to protect it. So kudos to the outdoor unit staff and to the city and Park District, because we partnership in all these types of activities, just to enable our community to be able to do some special activities like that they can't do otherwise.
Thank you. Any other board member comments? No? Then it looks like our next regular meeting all the way to September 11th. So thank you all and have a great summer. And we do not have a closing.